Hello and welcome to another segment of A Service Dog's Partner. Last week we discussed the definitions between a service dog, a therapy dog, and a emotional support animal. Today we're going to go with the types of breeds and the types of animals that are normally associated with each of these categories. Now again, like I said in my last video, if you discover anything that is contrary to what I have discovered and am putting on here, please let me know in the comments below, because I want to keep up to date on all the things that are changing, because with so many new developments going on, with more people getting service dogs, therapy dogs, and emotional support animals, the laws keep changing. When you do your research, make sure you double check the month and the year it was put up, because while I did my research, I actually found one law that was changed just this year in 2021, and that will be in our next segment next week. But today, we're going to discuss the types of breeds that normally people tend to choose for their type of animal to help them, depending on what their needs are. Now, like last week, I'm going to start with the service dog. The service dog can range from a very small dog to a very large dog. Now, this may be surprising. When I think of a service dog, I normally think about the size of a German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever. Never heard of a dog being very small. Now, I could see a dog being very large because I've heard of actually people having service miniature horses. They're normally used for mobility or seeing animals. So I could understand the larger breeds, but never really thought about them being small. When you're looking for a dog, you want to take into account that the dog is a comfortable size to work efficiently in executing the tasks needed to help the disabled person. So, for example, you wouldn't choose a really small lap dog to push or pull a wheelchair. I mean, the dog would not be able to do it. I mean, it wouldn't even be able to do it to an infant in a stroller. I mean, they just don't have the strength for that by themselves. What I've read is that you could train these lap dogs to be a hearing dog. Never even thought about that. It's like, yeah, you don't need a big dog for your dog to be a hearing dog. They could just sit in your lap, and then they can either tap your arm, lick you, or if you're hard of hearing, so you hear a little bit, but not things that are really far away from you, then sometimes yipping or barking, since they're so close to you, like on your lap, that will get your attention so that you know, oh, there's a sound around me I need to know, whether it's your phone, the door being knocked, or someone trying to get your attention. So, and then you have you can use a small dog to be trained for diabetes. So don't cut out the small dogs when you are looking for a service dog. Take into account what you need your dog to, what tasks you need them to do, and what breed can do it efficiently and easily. I mean, you don't want a small dog trying to turn on the light switch before you go in a room. The light switches are normally too high for them, so a small dog would not work. But a large dog like a Golden Retriever, or even the larger dogs like a Great Dane, would be able to handle it much better. Some other big breeds that you may not think about is the Great Danes, the St. Bernards, and the Pyrenees Mountain Dogs. And these are actually really perfect service dogs for helping people with mobility problems, such as they need to be pushed in a wheelchair, their balance is not very good, so they need a dog or a miniature horse to help them keep their balance much more, and have versus relying on a walker or something like that, because those don't always work. They need the additional help. So those are things to keep in mind when you are looking for a dog. Another example is, look at breeds that have different sizes. The Poodle is a really, really good example because they have a variety of different sizes. You got the teacup, you got the toy, the miniature, and the standard size. And what's really cool about the Poodle is they don't have a fur coat. Their fur is actually hair. So a lot of people are allergic to dog fur, and what's really nice about the poodles is its hair, they don't have the same type of dandruff that dogs do. So the poodle has become very popular for people who are allergic to dogs or who are in environments where they have to be careful who they're around who might have allergies. This is very big for children who go to school, because a lot of times what the school district will claim is that the kid cannot take their dog to school with them because there are other kids who may have allergies. They say may because it changes from year to year as children come in and out of school. So the poodle is really good, and this is also the reason why a lot of people are breeding the poodle with other dogs, and you start hearing like Labradoodles. That's a very popular dog that's coming out. So you got a mixture of these dogs, so you can have the breed of the dog you want, but has the hair of the poodle. Remember we were talking about how the small dog can be great for being taught how to be a hearing dog, or be trained to start smelling for like diabetes, blood sugars up and down. That would be really good for the teacup or the toy, or even the miniature dog if they were after something small. At the same time, the standard poodle would be much better for a guide dog or a mobility dog, or they would be the ones that would be big enough to be able to go into a room and turn on a light. So you need to look at all these types of breeds. I mean, these are only a few that I've touched upon. And get what you need, what tasks they need, and then look at the breeds you need. Look at what's going to work for you, because yeah, you may need something that's small. All you need is something that's small, but would a small dog be good for you? Do you actually need a standard size? Because like I said, a hearing dog and a diabetes dog, they don't have to be small. They can actually be a regular sized dog. At the same time, you could have a hearing dog or a diabetes dog, but you don't want the great big ones. You may want something a little smaller. So really look at what you're going for. There are common breeds that are often chosen to be service dogs, and for those specific places where they focus on training for service dogs for certain breeds, for certain disabilities, they normally go for certain dogs. And the three that came up the most were the Labrador Retrievers, which are they're one of the breeds that are the most friendly. They have very little, they don't have much of a temperament issue. They're normally very friendly to everyone. They're extremely smart, normally high in energy, which means they love to work. I mean, Labradors are normally hunting dogs. So they really love working. They love working their mind, which is why they're one of the ones that are chosen. The next one is the Golden Retriever. They're actually closely related to the Labradors. And again, they are very smart. They are even more lovable than what you would normally find a Labrador, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. I may be wrong with that. You may find that the Labrador is actually more friendly, but both are very friendly dogs. So the top two that people go for being very friendly, very active. Again, the Golden Retriever is also normally a hunting dog. It's just that their fur tends to be a bit longer. Also, something to keep in mind, I found this out from a couple of other breeders. The Labrador Retriever is actually more active than the Golden Retriever. So if you get a Labrador Retriever, keep in mind that they're going to have more energy than what a Golden Retriever will have. So you may have to take them out on more walks, maybe challenge them with a couple of extra tricks, something like that. Just keep that in mind when you look at it. You may actually end up with a Labrador who's a bit more laid back. It really depends on the dog. So don't just go, oh, I want this dog because of this. Go out, meet the dog, get to know the dog a bit before you go ahead and adopt them, because you can get a litter of puppies and each puppy is different. It's just like with human babies. The third one, and you're probably already thinking of this one, is the German Shepherd. Now that was the very first one that always pops into mind, and that's because you normally see them being used as seeing eye dogs, sorry. And this makes a lot of sense because it's the military is the one who first started with the service dogs, because a lot of their soldiers would come back injured, as in blind, deaf, missing limbs, later on under the understanding of PTSD. And the German Shepherds, a lot of times they're taught by the military, so they have very strict really strict training methods. I mean, it's daily, and when they're taught by a very specific person, so it's a really strict training program. And so the German Shepherd is really trained really well within. That's why they're the ones that you first think of when you think of a service dog, and why you oftentimes think of CNI dogs the first time whenever you hear a service dog. So that is the service dog. Now, like I said, service dogs normally, service animals are normally, it's the dog and miniature horses. I have never seen any other animal being a service animal. It's always been a dog or a miniature horse. And when you go into trying to choose one, really look at all those breeds, check them out, look at the breed history, what do they tend to be for, look at what you need depending on your disability, and talk to other people who have had these dogs. Do research, look at other YouTube videos, or go on Facebook and check out other people who have service dogs, and see if you can get more information from that way. Just because the breed of dogs is very vast, and there are some dogs that I never knew there was a teacup version of until I heard about it. I mean, new breeds are created every single day. I mean, didn't used to be a Labrador Retriever until someone decided to mix it together, and it's now considered a breed. So, now that we've finished service dogs, let's move on to the therapy dogs. Okay, so the big thing is people really confuse therapy dogs with service dogs. And there's if you watched the definition one, the video right before this, you'll understand the lines are very they overlap in how they help people. The difference really is that service dogs perform a task. That is a very key word there. And what I mean by task is they physically do something, like they go and turn on the lights. They force their head under your hand to make you pet them, or they lean up against you as you are starting to go getting panicked, or they bark to alert you for sounds if you're hard of hearing. Those are all tasks that they have been taught to do to alert the person, or to interrupt a repetitive action that the person is not supposed to do. So let's get back to types of therapy dogs and their breeds. A therapy animal is normally a dog. Now, I've heard this, but I've also heard of cats being therapy animals. But it does normally go for dogs, mainly because dogs tend to be definitely more friendly, and that's one of the key things that the therapy dogs need to be, is they want to be very friendly. They want to be tons of loving. But I've actually seen some cats that are like that as well, even if it's just with one person. So you'd have to do some more research on that, but for this video we're just going to stick with therapy dogs. Now, as you saw when I was doing the service dogs, there were two dogs that came up the most, the Labrador and the Golden Retriever, because they're so friendly. That is true even for therapy dogs. They are very common breed that are used for them, because they are very friendly and they're very loving, and they love to give love back. So they're very accommodating to anyone. And since in the description of therapy animals, we had discussed that the job of a therapy animal is to give love to people who are in need of it, whether it's depression, anxiety, in a nursing home, or in a in a hospital, something like that. And that's what a therapy dog does, is it goes out and gives love. I do have a note here that Other species can be therapy animals, but they have to be obediently trained. So if you have a cat, they have to be trained in some sort of obedience, and they have to be screened for its ability to interact favorably with humans and other animals, which means, and I'm more than positive that they do this with the dogs as well. They have to be obediently trained, which is true for any of these, for a service dog, therapy animal, or emotionally support animals. They need to be obediently trained. They have to interact well with other people and other animals. So if you have your dog and you're walking down the street, they can't go trying to start a fight or growl at them. They have to behave. These are very big key things that comes up a lot with these three categories. Is the animal does need to be obediently trained, and this is actually true with any pet owner. Is these animals should be trained. Dogs mainly, specifically, because they're the ones that go out and you have the most control over, because cats are their own person and they do their own thing. Dog owners really need to make sure their animals are obediently trained and trained to interact well with people and other animals. It's very important with this. Otherwise, if they are distracted by wanting to have a fight with another animal or not liking a person, then they're not doing their job. They're not able to work their tasks. They're acting negatively in a place where they're supposed to be giving therapy. Then it doesn't calm that person down. It actually has the opposite effect. And the same goes for at home. Their emotional support animal is not going to work favorably. It's going to stress out the homeowner. So that's with the therapy animal. Moving over to the emotional support dogs or emotional support animal. They both go, you'll have two different acronyms. You have the ESD or ESA. So it really depends. If it's not a dog, then they go ESA. So, unlike service dogs, which only allow dogs and miniature horses as service animals, all domestic pets qualify as emotionally support animal guidelines. Now, this is domestic pets. And I'm saying this because that doesn't mean you can go out and get an exotic bird or go out and get a tiger to be your emotional support animal. Those animals don't become domesticated. They're wild. You have to have a domesticated animal. And there are a couple that were listed: dogs, cats, snakes. And I'm pretty sure when they mention snakes, they mean the ones that you get from the pet store. Mice, again from the pet store. Rabbits, birds, and again, these are all from the pet store. Hedgehogs, rats, mini pigs, ferrets, and a whole bunch more, because like I said, the miniature horses would probably be another good emotional support animal. And keep in mind, all of these animals could be domesticated. And when I got to snakes, there are some snakes that you cannot domesticate, like you do not domesticate a rattlesnake. Common sense. Yeah, you don't do. There are some animals that you don't domesticate. If you get them from a pet store or a breeder, normally that's a good example of they're okay as long as they fall under that domesticated category. So that is the types of animals. So with saying that, whatever animal you choose, whether you're choosing a service dog, you're choosing a therapy dog, or you're choosing an emotional support animal, look into the type of animal you're getting. Look into what health care problems they may have. Look into the work that you have to do with them. I mean, do you have to take it out on walks? Do you have to clean up its cat box? Do you have to feed it mice if you have an emotional support animal that's a snake? You have to be prepared for all of this. And hello, yes. All this responsibility, because the minute you take on this responsibility is yours until the end of your animal's life. This is a lifetime responsibility, and you can't just say, I'm bored with this, or I'm too tired with this. You have to take on the full responsibility. So make sure that whichever animal or whatever dog breed you choose is going to work well for you. If a large dog is not going to work and you can get away with a small dog, choose a small dog, but choose which small dog is going to work for you. Look into the types of training that you're going to need. I mean, if you have an emotional support animal or a therapy dog, then simple obedience is going to be what you need. For a service dog, you have the basic obedience, but you've also got to train your dog how to perform the tasks that are needed for them to help you as their service dog. So it's a little more work into that, and you may need to do some additional training on top of that. So keep that in mind. And again, looking into medical, food. I mentioned all those domestic animals. A miniature horse is going to eat more than a dog, or a cat will have a litter box, so you just clean up there, while a dog, if you don't have a backyard, you're going to have to go out, walk, and clean up after. So these are all very important things you want to keep in mind before you commit to choosing a service animal. So I hope that helped you understand a bit more of the breeds and what type of animal to look for depending on the category you are into. And next week we're going to discuss the rights for each of these categories. And this again is going to get a little tricky. So again, I will put my links down of where I got this information. If you find any information that contradicts what I've said, or you find more information that you think I could use, or you have any questions, please put it in the link below. Send me the links of the research you have found so I can look into it. And I will do my best to answer your questions, and I'll definitely look into any research you send me, because knowledge is power is a saying that I really believe about, which is why I wish to share this with you. So again, the places where I got my most information was the American Kennel Club and the USA Service Dog. So thank you again for watching. If you liked our video, hit like and subscribe so you can keep up to date about our next videos. And we will see you next week on the third part of service dogs, therapy dogs, and emotional support dogs. Thank you.